Welcome to the AI Daily Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're doing exactly what it says on the tin, a deep dive into the top 5 AI news stories that dropped today, Wednesday, April 30th, 2025.
And it's quite the list today.
It really is. And here's a little something interesting for you listening. This whole discussion, the research, the structure, it was actually put together entirely by AI.
That's right. Our mission is pretty straightforward. Cut through the noise and get to the heart of what's important and, well, interesting in AI news right now.
Exactly. Just focusing on these 5 key stories from today. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it. It's amazing how fast things are moving, isn't it? The stories cover so much ground from, like, our phones to how science itself has done.
Absolutely. Let's kick off with those phones. Story number 1 comes from Fernando Silva over at 9 to 5 Mac. He put the main iPhone AI voice assistants through their paces.
Okay, so we're talking Siri, ChatGPT, and Perplexity.
That's them. And crucially, he used the free versions of each just to keep it a level playing field.
Makes sense. And I suppose the initial thinking was, Siri for iPhone stuff, Perplexity for real-time info, ChatGPT for smarts.
Pretty much, yeah, those were the assumptions. So first test, basic knowledge, simple facts.
How did that go? Did one pull ahead?
Surprisingly, no. It was actually a 3-way tie. All of them managed the basic Sally. President of France, Fahrenheit to Celsius, word definitions, that sort of thing.
Huh. Okay. Any differences in how they did it?
Well, Siri often gave visual answers, which can be useful.
Yeah.
And Perplexity's voice was noted as being a bit slower than ChatGPT's, but fundamentally all competent.
Right. So the baseline is pretty solid across the board.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about something more practical like finding places?
Okay, yeah, the navigation and local search test. He asked for a pet-friendly pizza place nearby.
Ah, the classic challenge.
And this is where Siri really shone because of that deep iOS integration. It found a place and immediately opened Apple Maps. Ready to go.
Seamless. What about the others?
Perplexity also found locations and even showed a map inside its own app with a button to jump to Apple Maps. So pretty good, but an extra step.
And ChatGPT?
It could list some places, but no direct link to maps. You'd have to copy the name or something. So Siri clearly wins on native integration for navigation.
Makes total sense. Leverage the platform. Okay, what about summarizing news? That seems like Perplexity's home turf.
Exactly. Silva asked them to summarize a specific recent 9 to 5 Mac article.
And did Perplexity nail it?
It did really well, found the article, summarized it. And then, importantly, it asked him to confirm it was the right article. That verification step is key.
Oh, that's smart. Verification is crucial with summaries. How did the others do?
ChatGPT found the right article too and gave a decent vocal summary. Not bad. But Siri completely missed the mark, just gave a generic list of articles.
Ouch. So Perplexity takes the win there, especially with that confirmation step.
Definitely. Okay, next up, real-world problem solving. The scenario was a flat tire.
Right, something practical you might actually ask an assistant for help with on the spot.
And ChatGPT was the clear winner here. It gave a really detailed step-by-step guide on how to change a flat. Very comprehensive.
Useful. And the others?
Perplexity apparently got a bit stuck, sort of stalled after a few prompts. And Siri, well, it couldn't offer much useful assistance at all.
So for complex instructions, ChatGPT seems to have the edge in conversational depth.
It really does. Then there was a travel and time logic test.
Ooh, sounds tricky. What was the task?
The question was, if you left New York City at 5 p.m. and drove for 6 hours, what cities could you reach?
Okay, that requires some calculation and geographical awareness.
And impressively, all 3 managed to list plausible cities, which is pretty good reasoning.
But was there a standout?
Yeah, Perplexity again added that extra layer. It didn't just list cities, it generated a map showing them. With one-tap navigation options, that visual aspect is powerful.
Very helpful for actually planning a trip. Okay, let's circle back to that integration piece. App integration and utilities.
Yep. And this was Siri's absolute stronghold. Opening apps, Apple's own or third-party, sending iMessages, setting reminders, playing music. Siri handled it all flawlessly.
As you'd expect, really.
Exactly. Perplexity had some limited ability with native Apple apps, but ChatGPT, zero integration in this area.
So for controlling the phone and its core functions, Siri is still untouchable.
Pretty much, which leads to the final verdict from Silva.
So who's the overall winner? Or is it more nuanced?
It's definitely nuanced. He concluded, Siri is best if your priority is that deep iPhone integration. ChatGPT is superior for conversational smarts and complex problem solving.
And Perplexity.
Perplexity offers a really good balance, especially strong for real-time info and navigation, plus that helpful verification.
Just depends on your main use case.
Totally. Silva even mentioned he'd personally lean towards using ChatGPT via the action button as a Siri replacement, and he hopes Apple integrates GPT tech deeper into Siri down the line.
That desire for the best of all worlds makes a lot of sense. Okay, interesting comparison. Let's move to the second story. Google's Notebook LM.
Right. Google's Notebook LM, it has this feature, Audio Overviews, where it basically turns your uploaded documents into a sort of podcast discussion with AI hosts.
Yeah, I've heard of this. You feed it course notes or legal documents or whatever, and it talks them back to you.
Exactly. Super useful for digesting info. And the big news is they've just massively expanded the language support for these audio overviews. We're talking 76 new languages.
Wow, 76, that's huge. So more people can listen in their own language.
Precisely. The whole point is accessibility, letting users absorb information in the language they're most comfortable with.
How does it work? Do you set it once?
There was a new output language option. So even if your documents are in English, you can choose to have the audio overview generated in, say, Spanish or Japanese, and you can change it anytime.
That's really flexible.
Yeah, Google gave an example of a teacher using resources in Portuguese, Spanish, and English, and students could each generate the overview in their preferred language. Great for diverse classrooms.
That's a fantastic use case.
Yeah.
What are some of the languages added?
Oh, the list is long, but it includes Afrikaans, Arabic, German, Spanish, French, Hindi, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, various forms of Chinese. Loads more. It's a big step for global accessibility.
Definitely broadens the appeal. Okay, story number 3 takes us into, well, a pretty unexpected use of AI. Agatha Christie.
Get this, yeah. The BBC is launching online writing classes on its BBC Maestro platform, featuring a digitally reconstructed Agatha Christie teaching them.
Wait, an AI Agatha Christie? How does that even work?
Well, it's quite involved. They had an actress, Vivian Keane, study the limited footage of Christie to capture her mannerisms. Then they used AI tools to enhance that performance, blending it with licensed images and restored audio of Christie's actual voice.
So it's a sort of deep fake, but built for education. Is the content actually hers?
That's the crucial part. They're emphasizing that the course material is drawn directly from Christie's own writings, her letters, archival interviews, basically, her own words and ideas about writing.
Okay, so it's not AI inventing writing advice in her style.
No, exactly. It's curated by Christie scholars like Dr. Mark Aldridge, who said the goal is to bring her insights to life using her words. Authenticity seems key.
And her family is involved.
Yeah, her great-grandson, James Pritchard, spoke about using AI ethically and ensuring the course is genuinely grounded in her original thoughts.
That's reassuring. What does the course actually cover?
The nuts and bolts of crime writing, apparently. Story structure, plot development, creating suspense. All taught, notionally, by the queen of crime herself.
I mean, given she wrote 66 novels, 14 short story collections, sold over 2 billion copies, she probably knew a thing or two.
Just a bit. It's certainly a novel, maybe slightly uncanny, way to package writing advice.
Definitely unique. Okay, shifting gears quite a bit for story number 4. This one sounds a little concerning. Deepfakes and heartbeats.
Yeah, this one is pretty wild. Researchers in Germany from Fraunhofer HHI and Humboldt University found that high-quality deepfake videos can now realistically replicate human heartbeats.
Whoa. I thought the lack of a pulse, those tiny physiological signals, was a way to spot fakes.
It was. That was considered a fairly reliable indicator. But this new research shows that the process of creating these advanced deepfakes inadvertently copies the subtle skin color changes caused by blood flow in the original person.
So the deepfake inherits the pulse from the source video. How?
Basically, yeah. Those tiny variations in skin tone from the real person's pulse get mapped onto the deepfake during synthesis. So the fake face ends up showing the same rhythmic color changes.
Wow, and they can measure this.
They used a technique called remote photoplethysmography, or RPPG, which detects blood volume changes from video. They found the pulse signals in the deepfakes were almost identical to the original's heart rates within just a few beats per minute.
This significantly undermines a major detection method then. Big implications for misinformation.
Huge implications. But the researchers did find a potential counter-strategy, a possible new way to detect them.
Oh, what's that?
It seems while the deepfakes replicate the overall global pulse accurately, they fail to reproduce the anatomically correct patterns of blood flow across different regions of the face.
Ah, so the pulse might look right overall, but the subtle differences you'd naturally see between, say, your forehead and your cheek aren't quite right in the fake.
Exactly. The regional nuances are off, so detection methods might need to get more sophisticated and look at these finer details. It's like an ongoing arms race.
Always evolving. Okay,
All
that's
right.
definitely something to watch. Now, our final story looks at AI's role in science itself, not just as a tool, but more.
Yeah, this is about a fundamental shift. AI moving from just analyzing data to actually helping shape the research questions and even designing experiments. It's becoming more of a creative partner.
A creative force, even. Can you give an example?
Sure. There's a researcher, Mario Kren, whose AI program called Melvin brainstormed new quantum experiments. And it actually proposed a specific design that human physicists had apparently overlooked.
That's pretty incredible. AI coming up with genuinely novel scientific ideas.
Exactly. Kren now runs an artificial scientist lab aiming to combine expert knowledge with large language models to spark innovative research directions. The long-term vision is, perhaps, AI driving discovery more autonomously.
That's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
What about the impact on, like, research productivity?
Well, there's evidence AI helps there too. A 2022 study in materials science found AI use led to discovering more materials, more patents, more products, so it boosts output.
But is there a downside?
Interestingly, yes, that same study found researchers reported lower job satisfaction. They felt maybe a bit less creative autonomy, like they were just executing AI's suggestions.
That's a really important human factor to consider, the feeling of ownership over discovery.
Definitely. And AI is also being used for hypothesis generation. Google has this AI co-scientist platform where different AI agents actually debate theories to refine them.
Like a virtual scientific debate.
Kind of. Microbiologists used it, and the AI correctly pinpointed a viral transmission mechanism they'd only just confirmed through experiments. Shows the power of AI to connect dots in complex data. Of course, it relies heavily on the quality of data it's trained on.
True, data quality is always key. But are there wider concerns about AI influencing the direction of science?
Yes, absolutely. A climate scientist named Anna Bastos actually declined to participate in an AI-generated research idea experiment.
Why was that?
Her concerns were that relying too much on AI might lead to science that's less disruptive, less creative, maybe too focused on incremental gains based on existing data. She worried about funding and publication biases favoring AI-generated ideas, and AI's potential limitations in driving real paradigm shifts.
That makes sense. AI learns from the past, so maybe it's less likely to make truly radical leaps.
That's the core concern. It might optimize within existing frameworks, but struggle with thinking completely outside the box. So the future really seems to hinge on finding the right balance.
Using AI's strengths, productivity, pattern recognition, challenging biases, without sacrificing human creativity, intuition, and autonomy.
Exactly. It's about how researchers choose to integrate and collaborate with AI, rather than just letting it dictate the path.
A complex challenge for the scientific community.
It really is. So, to recap today's AI Daily Deep Dive, we saw the nuances in iPhone voice assistants, Siri for integration, ChatGPT for smarts, Perplexity for balance, Google's Notebook LM making knowledge more accessible globally with massive language expansion.
We saw the BBC bringing Agatha Christie back, sort of, via AI for writing classes, and the rather sobering news about deepfakes now mimicking heartbeats, though there might be ways to counter that.
And finally, that profound shift in science, with AI becoming not just a tool, but a potential source of research questions, bringing both huge opportunities and, well, some complex challenges for human researchers.
It really underscores just how deeply and rapidly AI is weaving itself into almost every aspect of our world. No longer futuristic, it's very much here and now.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to ponder. As AI gets better at generating ideas, even scientific ones, how do we ensure we maintain that essential spark of human curiosity and creativity that drives truly groundbreaking discovery? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
And that wraps up this AI Daily Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.